So I think we are on. So uh, I welcome you all who have already joined this webinar today. Very good evening. VCNow welcomes you to the TERI School of Advanced Studies webinar, Seed the Change for a Sustainable Future. That is the topic of the day today. We are, very thrilled to have you join us on this journey towards fostering a sustainable world. Today's discussions will not only inspire but also equip you with practical insights on how to initiate and nurture positive change in your sphere of influence. We are all aware, of course, I mean, all of you are from this sector. We are all aware that the world desperately needs sustainability change makers, professionals who are deeply sensitive to the needs of future generations and are equipped to think and act strategically towards sustainable development. They are needed everywhere, including the corporate world in which we are in, which provides a good canvas to develop and implement sustainable practices. Here's a unique learning opportunity that will set you up for a fulfilling and rewarding career in CSR and sustainable development, whether or not you have experience in the domain. What's more, you can pursue this learning without continuing your current, while continuing your current occupation as well. As we explore the key principles and practices of sustainability, we invite you to envision your role in shaping a brighter tomorrow. Today's webinar serves as a platform to sow the seeds of impactful action, cultivating a future where environmental stewardship and social responsibility are at the forefront. In addition to our insightful discussions, we are excited to introduce you to the TERI SAS Seeded Management Program in CSR and Sustainable Development. This unique program is designed to empower leaders like you with the knowledge and tools necessary to drive meaningful change within your organizations and communities. Joining us today are three distinguished speakers from TERI School of Advanced Studies, Deemed University, New Delhi. I would now request Shreyashi to introduce our key speakers of today, Dr. Gopal Sarangi, Dr. Neeraj Sharma, and Dr. Shruti Sharma. I extend a warm welcome to them to the forum. Sheshi, you can introduce the speakers to the audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The first speaker that I would like to introduce is Dr. Gopal K. Sarangi. He is a professor and head of the Department of Policy and Management Studies at TERI SAS, New Delhi. He possesses over 24 years of extensive research and consulting expertise. His focal research areas encompass the energy market and regulation, green finance, and various financing aspects such as climate financing and sustainable development financing. Dr. Sarangi's expertise extends to carbon markets, industrial decarbonization, and ESG issues, with a keen interest in the intersection of new energy technologies, fuels, and resources with public policies and social systems. Throughout his career, Dr. Sarangi has contributed significantly to collaborative projects funded by prestigious institutions such as DFID, EPSRC, World Bank, and UNDP, among many others. Notably, he has served as a nominated member by the Ministry of Rural Development at the Government of India, actively influencing policymaking in renewable energy and carbon neutrality. With an illustrious career spanning academia, policymaking, and consultancy, Dr. Sarangi emerges as a very distinguished figure in the field of energy economics and sustainable development, shaping the discourse and practice in his domain of expertise. I would now like to introduce Dr. Neeraj Sharma, who is also known as the Bhishma Pitama of technology-based executive education in India. And he has played a pivotal role in pioneering synchronous education methodologies with technology intervention. With a career spanning a total of 26 years, he has been a driving force behind successful ventures in EdTech, contributing significantly to technology-based learning in management education. Currently, Dr. Sharma is serving as a co-founder and chief academic officer at My Diksha. Dr. Sharma holds a PhD in management science from IIT Delhi and an MTech in human resource development and management from IIT Kharagpur, where he was also honored with the Institute's silver medal. Throughout his career, Dr. Sharma has held key positions in renowned organizations, leading functions such as training, quality, P&L, sales, marketing, and academic operations. He has collaborated closely with prestigious institutions like IIMs, XLRI, and University of Phoenix, among others, in order to promote technology-based education. Beyond his professional endeavors, Dr. Sharma is passionate about Vedic scriptures and has been actively involved in teaching and studying them. I would now like to introduce Dr. Shruti Sharma. Dr. Shruti Sharma holds a PhD in business management and a postgraduate degree in marketing and strategy management. With over 20 years of diverse experience spanning academics, research, marketing, and sales. With a focus on quality, she excels in training and consulting educators and corporates in areas such as motivation, communication effectiveness, behavioral training, emotional intelligence, and competency mapping. Dr. Shruti is adept at developing pedagogy skills and specializes in strategy for business sustainability, change management, blue ocean strategy, and marketing management practices. Her professional journey includes roles in esteemed organizations such as the Indian Express, the Hindustan Times Limited, and Group M, WTP Concern, where she contributed to strategic planning, business development, alliance management, and corporate communication consulting across publishing, media, and interactive media domains. Additionally, she serves as a resource person for the Ministry of HRD, Government of India, and volunteers as a mentor for the Udayan Shalini program, guiding and training girls selected for government scholarships. So let's embark on this journey together as we seed the change for a more sustainable and equitable future. Thank you for being a part of this pivotal moment in our collective pursuit of sustainability. Let me now share the forum to our esteemed speakers. We will be concluding with a Q&A session. Hence, would request all of you to keep your queries handy and keep listening. Thank you so much. Over to the speakers.
So we'll start with Dr. Gopal Sarangi to share his views on this topic and how does he see the future in this domain. Please. Dr. Gopal, please.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I like at the outset like to thank Professor Neeraj, Dr. Shruti, and the team from VCNow in organizing this event. I'm also part of the organizing team. And I'd like to thank all the participants, those who have shown interest in this particular unique course, which is specifically focusing on something which is very new and something which is very unique given the trajectory that the country is going through. I won't take much time. I'll just in 10 minutes time, I have 10 slides. I quickly go through why this course is important from the larger perspective, from the umbrella factors. The specific requirements and the specific issues related to the course should be dealt by Professor Neeraj and Dr. Shruti. But what I'm going to do is give you a broad understanding of why there is something of this kind of a course which is very much needed or which is actually a need for the hour. I'll start with which is a very known slide I hope that I'm audible to everybody and I'm visible. Just start with this slide, which basically talks about the risks posed by the climate change. And this report has been highlighted several times by everybody. I think several participants must be aware about this report. But the importance of this particular slide essentially emphasizes that the risks are no more distant from us. There are out of 10 risks which have been identified by the World Economic Forum, 5 plus 1, 6 risks are around climate change. That means that you really cannot move away from the issues around sustainability. Whosoever you are, whether you are a stakeholder in the industry, stakeholder, you are a government stakeholder, or anybody public stakeholder, you have to get into this issue and have to find out how this issue can be resolved. Now, going deeper into it, I'm going to talk about the risks, and you really want to characterize the risks. So these risks are new, and they can be physical risks, transitional risk, and could be liability risks. A lot of risks are coming in because certain things are actually not going as, or there has been a change in the regulation and the policy domain. So there are a lot of cases coming in the court of law to deal with these things. So there is a whole lot of risks, either in terms of the direct impact on the physical operation of the industry functioning or physical operation of a particular sector, or maybe related to the change in the sectoral configurations. Let's, for example, move away from coal sector to renewables. So what kind of risk you are actually going to face? So there is no clarity on that. Even though all of us are trying to operate on it, but there has been less clarity on that. And from that angle, this course stands unique. Going further into these risks, I think one of the issues which has been debated worldwide is the issue of stranded assets. And this issue is something not new, but the problem is that there is no clarity, as again said, in terms of how to map the stranded assets, what is the methodology to measure it, how do you bring that scale that down to the sectoral scale. So it is expected that there will be a lot of assets which are going to be face the premature write-offs. What would you do with that? There is a transition also in the sense that I'll just keep the slide. I'll just take you to I'll come back to the slide. This also transition in terms of the fact that we are moving away from a regulated regime towards a market regime. One of the discussions that we do essentially, this is a case study how in the context of energy sector, you see that the regulatory regime is gradually being replaced by the market regime. The glaring example is that, let's for example, you have all kinds of policy instruments. You talk of your accelerated depreciation, you talk of GBI, generation-based incentives, you talk of feed-in tariff. All these are there, but at the same time, we are moving into a regime, let's say auctions in the domain of your wind energy and solar, even those battery storages. Do you have an understanding how these mechanisms are going to impact the industry functioning? What they need, what is the preparedness that is required at the industry level to kind of face this kind of a transition? Now, as I said that if you look at the kind of risks, so the risks are going to be very impactful for the business itself. And why? Because there are a lot of ways through which, a lot of channels, conduits, through which the business is going to be impacted. So you talk of production capacity, you talk of productivity, you talk of resource scarcity, because resource scarcity not in real sense, not in the physical sense, also in the sense that there are regulations coming in which are asking you not to use certain resources. You talk of new stakeholder demands, ESG is a glaring example of that. You talk of reduced demand for goods and services. You talk of increased capital and operational cost. All these are going to be manifested in very different way at very different scales and for different and heterogeneously across industries. So this is how you see that the risks are getting manifested. Now, coming to the specific risks which have been identified by some studies across industries, you can see that there have been sectors which are actually low carbon, and there are certain sectors which are high carbon intense. Now, there is, as I said, there is a market mechanism which is coming in terms of you are moving away from a regulated regime towards the market mechanism. Now, if you look at these sectors and the way these sectors are going to face the market is very different, and the impact that is going to be felt is also going to be very different. Now, I'll skip this because this is what I've discussed. Now, particularly talking about this, the role that TERI SAS has been playing, and the role that why the TERI SAS should be chosen as an entity which would help you in terms of enhancing the skill sets and also helping in terms of ideating that how these risks can be addressed, what operational mechanism are to be taken out. So TERI SAS has history. TERI SAS is actually the only organization I see having a long history of 25 years in the sustainability education. When nobody is talking about sustainability education, TERI SAS started this debate. And in fact, the TERI SAS, all programs from the very beginning are talking about sustainability in different domains, in different languages, and bringing everything together. Not only that, we have prior evidence of a rich repository of resources, both in terms of research, also in terms of capacity building, in carrying out or taking these issues forward and training and creating a cadre of professionals, leaders in this domain. We are well networked. We have well-trained set of professionals, as I said. So TERI SAS, I don't think is, I cannot be compared because TERI SAS is uniquely placed in terms of taking this course in a manner which is very much required by the industry participant, which is very much required by the leaders from the industry. And TERI SAS is unique in the sense that we are very closely connected to industry in many ways, in our training, in our teaching, in our research. We are very closely connected to policymakers. Many of the policymakers, we have a program specifically which talks about, which brings experts from the policymakers. We have a program called Public Policy and Sustainable Development, where mid-career civil servants come here, get trained themselves. We as academicians, as I said, are very well connected with this. So this triad of industry, policymakers, academia is truly manifested when you talk about any program, any capacity building activities, any research that you do at TERI SAS. Not only that, we also believe in this triad that we have programs specifically focusing on science, we have programs directly connected to practice, we have programs directly connected to policy. So this triad is also very, very important and will be useful when it comes to this kind of a program for senior professionals. And hence, it becomes imperative that this kind of the program that we're envisaging through the leadership of Professor Sharma and Dr. Shruti is going to be impactful in many ways, not only in terms of creating the bridge or the bridging the gap in terms of information asymmetry, also enhancing the skill set and kind of re-establishing your position as leaders. Not only that, from the company point of view, from the corporate sector point of view, reputational presence is something which is prioritized. I think this course is actually designed as going to be more powerful in terms of addressing all these which have been pointed in this slide. So thank you. I won't take much time. As I said, if you have any query, I'm there also along with all of my other of my colleagues to get back to your queries and your questions. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Professor Gopal. Indeed, very powerful. And I'll take it forward from here. Perhaps, when I was listening to your this talk, I felt sad that where have we reached as a if we say that climate has changed and things are not in shape, perhaps you, I, and everyone else is responsible. So while I felt sad, I also felt happy that now there is a huge focus on this. And as a group, participants, as we are thinking to do some work in this direction, and therefore better late than never. And your presentation perhaps made me remember those lines when you talked about how TERI SAS is the best place to talk about this subject. जैसे एक हम हैं जो नजरों से पिलाते हैं, वरना तो शहर में महखाने हजारों हैं. Because, as you rightly said, we started thinking about these things 25 years ago. And I want to share with the participants here that our journey is reverse. We first had the doctorate programs. We had the research. Then we started the master's program as a university. And only last year we started the UG. Otherwise, what happens is people start with UG, PG, and then go to doctorate. We are the only university, perhaps, which started with the research, doctorate, masters, and now the UG. Only last year we started. So in 25 years, we have had enough experience, material, and based on that, we thought now we should have something which creates a huge impact. And we spoke to this leading organization, VCNow, and see the commitment. We have Pulak, Shayasi, we have Mohammed, Nafis, all sitting together, trying to do some joint work so that the impact is very powerful. They say what TERI SAS does not know about sustainable development is not worth knowing. And now I'll come to the program. This program is called Senior Management Program. Focuses on CSR and SD. Very, very clear to us. It's a 6 months program, and I want to share how this 6 months is important. It's not that someday we got up from the right side of the bed and we decided it will be 6 months program. We had the content in place, and we wanted to do justice for the people who have some years of experience, in this case 8 years. And then we saw that how much time is required to do justice for this program. It came out to be a 6 months program. This being a program for the senior professionals, and we didn't want to disturb the regular routine of these people, which is primarily the work and to some extent family. So we decided to offer this program on a Sunday morning. And we also were very conscious of the fact that all of you are busy people, may not travel much because of family and the work reasons, and we used a hybrid mode. So we have a 3-day campus visit at a beautiful campus called TERI near the Haryana-Gurgaon border. Nice place to be together and start the journey from there, which is a 3 days offline learning. And my colleagues, Dr. Gopal Sarangi, Dr. Shruti Sharma, and few others will be there to discuss those topics which are more suited for the offline understanding. currently the registrations are on. So around May 26th, we are likely to do the inauguration of this batch and take the journey forward. The fee for this program is 1,50,000. And we also understand that you also may have your financial liabilities, and therefore we have, by design, given the installment pattern, so it becomes easy for you to get into the program. I'm not talking about the content because Dr. Shruti is the best place to do, and she has been doing lots of such programs for very, very reputed companies for quite some time. So she will talk about the content, but I want to share the benefits of this program. So as Dr. Gopal was mentioning, that the content, which is the key element for any program, it comes from TERI School of Advanced Studies, where we have people like Dr. Gopal, Dr. Shruti, and many others who have been into it for ages altogether. So we think, we breathe, we discuss, and all these people are very busy in various webinars and seminars talking about this subject and putting their points very vocally. And this program is designed for working professionals. That means we knew you have certain challenges, certain constraints, certain experiences, and therefore, using that, we created a design. We know that everyone who will be joining this program will have 8 years of experience, and within 8 years, we understand something or the other, and then we build up upon that, and also from the practical point of view. Needless to mention, the set of people that you have seen and the set of people you will be seeing, they are considered the best in class because they say what we do not know about such subject is not worth knowing. I mean, I'm placing modesty at distance. Another advantage that you get is this batch will be maybe 50, 60, 70, whatever is the number of people who qualify and join. And we have a strict criteria for that also. But imagine, if we do many such programs, someday you will have a set of people who have the same set of challenges and knowledge and the issues, and therefore the peer learning, even the current set of people and the people who will be joining, because all of you also will get an executive alumni status from TERI SAS, and this group comes very handy when you get to discuss any of such topics. So basically, the classes, online classes will be conducted on Sunday morning, so that your entire week is available for you for the work, the professional work that you're doing. And only Sunday morning is the investment, get to for the 6 months. But I give you a money back guarantee that if we run with the pace of the faculty members, this will be not one of the best programs, the best program, which will help you to understand these subjects and also understand what more can be explored in these fields. With this, I request Dr. Shruti to take us through the content of the program, and then we can take up the questions, if any.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeraj. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes. It's
Dr.
visible.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Neeraj, for the introduction. Thank you so much, VCNow, for the opportunity. And thank you so much, all of you, all the participants, for showing interest in the program. And I want to congratulate all of you for taking a first step towards sustainability. As a professor of sustainability, I would like to tell you that it is the need of the hour. We in TERI SAS, we've been practicing sustainability. Dr. Gopal Sarangi, Professor Neeraj Sharma has mentioned that we've been practicing sustainability for almost 2 to 3 decades when, in a very simple way, I said when sustainability was not even in fashion. So we are the ones where, which passion and idealism drives us towards this road, towards sustainability. And we understand the importance of sustainability and specifically business sustainability. Now, as you can see at the slides, which says that the case of sustainable business has come of age. And I would like to say that the best time to practice sustainability was yesterday, but the next best time is now. And more so for businesses currently, because when we look at the current status. In fact, Dr. Gopal Sarangi mentioned very elaborately in his presentation, he spoke about the risks which were given by the World Economic Forum. He spoke about the risks to the businesses. And businesses are one of the most vulnerable entities as far as the impact of climate change is concerned. And there is the statement by BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, and he talks at, in the coming years, in the current, when you look at the current scenario, all the investors are going to assess by the organizations, not only by the financial performance, but also by the environmental and social impact which they create. And if you look at the growth of ESG investing or impact investing, I mean, they've been having a compounded annual growth rate of more than 24%, more than 25%. So for businesses, it's not only just looking good, it's doing well by doing good, which becomes very important. And that is where this whole the workshop, the senior management program, which comes here, and where that's why I say it's the need of the hour to align businesses, to align the leadership to look this way. If I go by this slide, COVID-19 has, been the great reset, which we call. It has been a great reset for businesses worldwide. It has made us look at what we were doing. We were not aligned with, we were not aligned with the nature. We were not aligned with the societies in which we're working. We were going against it, against the nature. And nature has shown us like how small, it's just a peck of, we are just a very small, tiny peck, a blue dot in the universe. So COVID-19 from the business perspective has been a great reset. Look at the supply chain disruption, volatile raw material prices. I think Dr. Gopal has already mentioned there, energy crisis, which we are in. There is a trust deficit between the stakeholders. Longevity of business is at stake here. When we speak about, the lifespan of Fortune 500 companies, McKinsey did a research and it said that 2019, the lifespan of Fortune 500 companies was just 18 years compared to the lifespan of 80 years when the research was done in 1960, which means that most of the Fortune 500 companies by 2030, 75% of them would not be there. So it's the question of survivability. And that is where the need to look at sustainability. There have been regulations. The recent COP28 talked about TCFD. It talked about double materiality, things which we are going to discuss in our senior management program. Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Dr. Gopal Sarangi, the team here in TERI SAS have very carefully curated the program, the 6 months program for all of you. We've divided into these segments where the first one, which we will be talking about introduction to CSR sustainability. We will be talking about how to integrate CSR into the strategy of the organization. We will be taking you through different sustainability business models. We will be talking about sustainable supply chain. We would look at CSR from an emerging market perspective. We will look at monitoring and evaluation, which becomes very important aspect. We'll talk about capstone project. I'll take you through the details of these topics. So when we look at the first topic, which is introduction to CSR, corporate social responsibility and sustainability, all of us know that we've been celebrating a decade of CSR in India. So this year marks 10 years of CSR. And ask all of you, all of the ones who've been practicing CSR or the ones who've not been practicing, just to introspect and see, are we actually, have we done enough and have we actually created an impact during these 10 years? There's a need of, reflection here and introspection here. So we will talk about the journey of CSR. We will talk about the evolution of CSR. We would link it to the sustainable development. So when we talk about sustainability, there is generally an ambiguity towards ESG, sustainability, and CSR, and these terms are used irreplaceably, interchangeably. So when we talk about sustainability as a very broad philosophy, sustainability is the why. ESG becomes an analytical framework or how to practice sustainability. And what you do is CSR, corporate social responsibility. During the 6 months program, we will dive deep into it and tell you how to create CSR programs, impactful CSR programs, where we'll talk about value creation. So that is the business case of CSR and sustainable development, which we will be trying to link up. The benefits, how can you get a competitive advantage using your CSR practices, We will talk about the value creation here, value creation in a very broader sense, not only the financial, but a value creation in terms of a broader value creation. We talk about double materiality. We will talk about different frameworks of CSR and sustainable development. We will be talking about the triple bottom line as a theory, stakeholder theory, different international standards and guidelines we will be discussing here, global reporting initiative, SASB, sustainable accounting standard, board. We'll talk about that. We will talk about ECFD, TNFD, all the new frameworks which are there, which helps you in practicing sustainability better, integrating CSR into the strategic objective of the firm. Second module, we will move after we have understood the link between CSR and sustainable development. We will talk about the strategy, CSR strategy and leadership. Currently, what is being observed, when we talk about business as usual, how businesses are practicing CSR, it's more, it's more of a peripheral kind of thing. They're more practicing it in a tactical way. So the need to integrate CSR into the strategies being felt by the policymakers, by the board of management. And that is where we will talk about how do you integrate CSR into the strategy of the firm? How do you align it with the vision and mission of the firm? Is what this module will be all about. We will talk about, the leadership, the roles of leaderships in facing a CSR vision and culture. How do you integrate it into the practices, into the processes of the firm? We will talk about different kind of leadership styles and approaches which drives the CSR activity in the firm. We will talk about stakeholder engagement and management here in the firm. This becomes one of the key parameters when we practice CSR. So we will look at CSR in a very holistic way rather than a tactical way, which is being looked here. The third part of our training will be based on environmental sustainability. Now, environment becomes a major part when we look at it from a CSR initiative. So we will talk about what exactly is an environmental sustainability. We'll talk about environment stewardship in general. We will talk about, again, the concept which we have introduced in the for Model 1. We'll delve deep into it from the environmental sustainability perspective, the triple bottom line context. We will talk about the challenges. We talk about resource depletion, the climate change challenge towards the business, the biodiversity loss. How does it impact your business? How does ecological imbalance impact your business? We will talk about different causes and consequences, the law of unintended consequences, where we will decode impact here. So when we talk about so much about impact of your CSR project, we will tell you what exactly do we understand by impact, and how do you create a sustainable impact, not just an impact which is, there hasn't seen for a year, but a sustainable impact which creates the value which is required by an organization. We will talk about different principles of environmental sustainability. We will talk about, tragedy of commons, intergender equity. We will talk about precautionary principles here. We will talk about how sustainable development goals will be introduced here. And we will talk about their relevance from environmental and social aspect. We will talk about an overview of international agreements, frameworks, which are important in steer-led movement of sustainability. Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, Convention on Biological Diversities, all of this would be covered under this topic. Then we will move to very important, our sustainable business model and innovation. Now, the problem when you talk about practicing sustainability for a value creation is that intent is always there. People understand, they realize the importance. And yes, it is the need of that. But how do you actually practice it? How do you implement it is a problem. And where this course comes as a solution. So when you talk about the intention to action deficit here, this is where we will help you in understanding the sustainable business model. We will talk about what exactly a sustainable business model and how do you, importance of integrating sustainabilities into your business strategies, into your processes, the keys, the frameworks, the tool, the metrics which are there. So we will be objectifying sustainability or quantifying sustainability here for your better understanding. We will talk about different kind of models, business models, which have been there, which is circular economy as a concept. We talk about eco-efficiency as a concept. We will talk about creating shared value as a concept. The concept where most of the CSR, they say, now has to shift from a CSR perspective to a CSV perspective. And that is what we will delve into here. We will talk about very important aspect here when we look at sustainable business model. We will talk about design thinking here. Design thinking is one of like tenets of sustainability, one of the building blocks of sustainable practices, business practices. So we will talk about design thinking, introduction to design thinking principles, methodologies, how exploration of new design thinking can be applied to develop and curate sustainable business model, customize it for your organizations. We will talk about best practices, different case studies which have been impactful, which have created the kind of impact. So that would be sustainable business models. We will talk about CSR in emerging markets such as in India. I would just like to talk about here when I'm in CSR, corporate social responsibility, as a practice, as a policy, is only practice in India, not anywhere across the globe. So when we say CSR, corporate social responsibility, is only from the Indian context. Elsewhere in the world, CSR stands for corporate sustainability reporting. So we will talk about what are the challenges of CSR in emerging markets, understanding of an emerging markets, overview of economic, social, and environmental challenges, especially when you look at India. We talk about climate equity and justice. We will talk about ethics here. Ethics becomes the starting point, one of the most important points in business practices. So we will talk about corporate governance here. We will talk about different kinds. When we look at E, S, and G, we will talk about governance here. We will talk about different kinds of policies, be it an anti-corruption, bribery policies, ethical challenges faced by businesses in emerging markets. We will talk about strategies to promote transparency, accountability, and integrity. We will talk about social responsibility and inclusive growth. And that is where, when we go out in market as a professor or as an expert, most of the businesses talk about the social aspect part of it, or the social responsibility part of it. So yes, environment is getting its, environment. Most of the people are looking at environmental benefits, but yes, social also has an equal importance. I think that was highlighted by Professor Neeraj in this talk. Last but not the least, we will talk about CSR measurement and evaluation. So after we have spoken about CSR and emerging market, we will talk about tools, we will talk about techniques to measure your impact, we will talk about the ROI on the CSR projects, because I believe what can be measured can be managed. And this was something which when we talk about outcome, when we look at theory of change, there is this thing which is amiss when we realize in the CSR projects that yes, you do share 2%, you do build schools, you do build hospitals, but that's just outcome specific. When you go for impact specific, we cannot actually look at our impact, measure our impact, and that's the challenge. And that is where this course, during the senior management, we will talk about different kinds of tools and frameworks, and how do you calculate your return on investment on your CSR projects. So we will talk about how do you design an effective CSR management framework, data collection. We will talk about impact assessment. The recent 2021 guidelines, which have been mandated by Government of India for all the businesses to follow to measure your impact. So we will talk about your social return on investment. We will talk about your environment impact assessment. We talk about your social impact assessment here. So long-term, short-term impact assessment. So we will talk about your sustainable impact assessment here. And in the last, once you've gathered all the skills and understood the program well, we will put you in a capstone project, in an executive leadership project, where we'll engage in project you, whatever skills you have acquired, you will be practicing it, you will be understanding you will be implementing these skills and understanding it in a better way. So this is how, your program is structured. The program, all the modules we have carefully curated is structured so that it equips you with a skill which is currently required to practice CSR, to practice sustainability for value creation in an organization. I would end my talk with saying, generally people are, when we talk about that, for businesses, first do what is necessary, then do what is possible, and you'll see you're doing impossible. So yes, this is integrating sustainability, driving value creation, and impact is easy. It's not that difficult. All you need is take the first step towards sustainability, which I think all of you have taken, and that would be all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it was a wonderful kind of narrative in terms of the entire curriculum been explained pretty well, Professor Shruti. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, Professor Gopal, and thank you, Professor Neeraj, for giving your insights as well. As to why sustainability is the essence of the day. Uh, in fact, not being relevant only to managers who are into compliance, CSR, but even I think what we have seen, within the amount of registrations that we have already got, during the past few days, that people from various sectors, it could be from the production, it could be from manufacturing, it could be from any other sector. They are still wanting to explore sustainability and CSR as one of their, kind of learning avenues. So I think that's a big thing opening up, and people are responding to this kind of need of the hour, and that's a welcome move, I would say. And I think the registrations also really speak the language, right? So I think we have some queries, from the audience. We can take up those queries in the chat box. I don't see too many, although I think there has been a response in terms of I think somebody from the Tata Group who has already joined the webinar today. She has mentioned that CSR plays a very important role within the group, and they are extremely serious about their CSR activities. So I think that's a given fact. I'm sure the group really works on CSR in a big way. Not from today, but I think I mean, I recall an ad during our childhood days. I think हम cement भी बनाते हैं, ऐसा कुछ था. So because the entire thing was social, and हम steel भी बनाते हैं.
We
Steel is
also
just
We'll
a
be
byproduct.
banate. Yes.
So I think that concept was there from many long years, and I think while we also keep traveling to Jamshedpur, we see sustainability, CSR in a big way as a group. So I'm sure other groups are also opening up to it in a big way. So I think there's a query in the chat.
Yes,
Okay,
there are, if I
okay.
may.
Have you raised
Sure.
hand? Okay,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
There, no, this is me, Shresh. Actually, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. Should we address them, and then probably they can raise their hands as well going
Yeah,
forward?
yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yes. So I will just read out the questions one by one. Dear faculty members, yes. So the first question here is, how much focus does the course lay on ESG, sustainable supply chain, monetizing sustainability for MNCs? Which specific senior manager profiles / roles does this program be most useful for? That is
Okay.
the question.
I will answer the question.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. Yes.
So in fact, when I mentioned, when the first part I'll take here, when they said that ESG, whether the course is focused on ESG. So the complete course is focused on ESG, where we have tools and frameworks in your module 2. So when we look at ESG here, environmental, social, and governance parameters. So we will be looking, as I've mentioned initially, that sustainability is a philosophy, but how do businesses practices is the ESG way. So there are tools and frameworks to practice sustainability. So whatever we will be teaching you, and when we look at how do you practice, what projects and all is CSR, but the thought and the frameworks are ESG would be incorporated here. So we will be talking about the tools and frameworks also, when in the end of second and third module. So ESG will be there. And when we look at it, the second one was, I believe, they asked that sustainable supply chain. So we have a complete module dedicated to sustainable supply chain. And when you look at sustainability as a whole, it's not any, it's basically, it is immersed across departments. So when you look at financial sustainability, we talk about sustainability in HR, we talk about sustainable, there is sustainability in marketing, brand communication, sustainability in operations, where we talk about sustainable supply chains. So yes, when we have a module where we'll look at sustainable supply chains, we will talk about reverse logistics here. We will talk about lean manufacturing here. We will talk about eco-efficiency here. We will talk about life cycle management and life cycle thinking here. So that is where, when I think I would have answered the question of sustainable supply chains, the best case practices we will handle. And yes, this program is important when we look at it from the middle management and the ones who are practicing, and for the leadership. So again, for the leadership, I mean, everybody across all the CXOs, this program is very relevant to them. And then again, when you look at the mid-level managers, the ones who are practicing, or regional managers, for them, it is very important for them to understand the concept and, in fact, create policies or projects or programs accordingly and pass it on to the team members.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. So the second part of the question was, which specific senior manager profiles or roles is this program most useful for? Would you like to address that?
Yes, if
Okay.
you look at this would be most useful for when, again, yes, definitely your ESG heads or your CSR heads or your compliance heads in the organization, even your CTOs, it would be very useful for them. So again, when you EHS managers, it would be very useful for the EHS managers. It would be very useful for them, even for the procurement team, for the quality management. When you look at it from the quality assurance team, it would be very useful. So across, yes, it would be useful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I move on to the next question in the chat box, rather in the Q&A box. This is asking a question about the 8 years of experience that we require to join the program. So the query is it an overall experience or experience in SD or CSR or corporates or managerial experience?
No, it's an overall experience, because people may be from different walks of life, but everyone is going to benefit from this. And sustainability, as we see, is not a vertical, it's a horizontal. So you may be in HR or supply chain or anywhere else. So it's an overall 8 years of experience.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Yes. So the other question I have addressed it in the Q&A box. The question is, will there be a certification provided at the end of the course after writing the final exams? Would you like to address this?
Yes, there is a certificate which is displayed on our website also. It's a sample certificate, may undergo change, but broadly it will be there. And currently the sample certificate is on the website where we have announced this program.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. So moving on to the next question. This question is about books and study literature. Will that be provided during the program? That is the question.
It will be, of course it will be.
Thank you. Does this program cover 100% ESG sustainability, or is it specifically, for environmental sustainability? That is the query.
I would like to answer that. So it covers your environment sustainability, so social sustainability, economical sustainability. So it covers 3, and even your governance. So the 4 pillars which it talks about environment, social, economic, and the governance part.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. The next question mentions, does the program look at facilitating placement as well, since it's an area which is currently facing a talent deficit?
No, so I want to address this. For executive programs, placement is not the scheme. Here, the promise is the content, best of the class content and the faculty. And I also tell you why, because there are many organizations which are wanting to nominate people, and they also look at it as a retention strategy. So it will be morally incorrect for us to even talk about placement support. I underline it once again, there is no placement support that is provided by TERI SAS for this program, but surely it helps people to grow up and get placed by themselves, but nothing from TERI SAS.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. The next question is a bit specific to the person's career, I'm assuming, so I will just read it out. Mr. Kaushik writes, as an IT project manager, I am interested in transitioning to ESG management or sustainability. Could you explain how this course would support that transition? Additionally, could you provide examples of companies where your students have recently found placement after completing your short-term courses? Little more about your alumni network benefits as well. It has 3 parts specifically, I think. Yes. Over to you.
Dr. Gopal or Dr. Shruti can address this.
Yeah, thank you. I think this course is designed, since we are actually venturing into this particular program for the first time, we don't have really an alumni base, particularly for this program. So that's something which is actually not there. But I think being an engineer, I think there exists a lot of scope, particularly venturing into the ESG area, because there are areas which actually requires technical knowledge and skill sets. And you already have that foundational knowledge through the engineering way. So I think that will be really helpful. I don't think there is any barrier, any kind of constraint if somebody who is trained in a technical domain and want to venture into this area.
Right. Thank you. The next question is asked by Nupur Ji. She mentions, I'm a brand communications and public relations professional. Can you tell me how this program would help me in the future?
I will. So if there is, when we look at the brand communication, or when we talk about, creating, campaigns or designing campaigns, or we talk about brand management per se, this is the knowledge. When we look at the knowledge which would be given in this course, knowledge about sustainability, how do you practice sustainability, how you take care of the environmental and social impact. The knowledge would help them in creating, a better, brand management campaigns or marketing campaigns for them. So, and this, when we look at the space, the communication space, or, the brand communication space in this specific sector, when you look at sustainability sector, is still untapped, and there's a lot of potential here. So I would give examples of my current MBA students here. So a lot of them are already working. I mean, they've been after post MBA, they've gone and worked as brand managers in different firms. There's one who's currently studying, and she was brand manager with Repurpose Global. So they are working with different groups, and they're designing campaigns which are more powerful. When you understand this concept of and you're able to take all the practices what your organization is doing, and you're able to communicate it in a more effective way.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. Yes. So before I move on to the next question, let me just address something in general for everyone who is a part of the forum. A couple of you are asking questions about the program outline to be shared or the presentation to be shared. Rest assured, after the end of the webinar, you will all be contacted by our team, wherein you can also access the details of the program. We will be sharing all the details with you. Right. So moving on to the next question. Vaibhav Agarwal asks, can this course benefit people active in MSMEs? I mean, that is self-explanatory, but I will, yes, over to you, Dr. Shruti. Yes, if you
Yes,
want.
definitely. This would, be very effective for people in MSMEs, because the challenges to MSMEs are more than the big corporates. That's what I could say. So big corporates, they've all, due to regulations, due to government regulations, or because they were already working earlier in the international market. So they've already somewhere aligned themselves with this concept, and it's not new to them. But the challenges are with MSME. So when we look at SEBI, and SEBI has mandated TRSR, and SEBI has making its regulations strict by every passing year. So the impact, there is a kind of impact which is happening on MSMEs. So for them, they need to align themselves, they need to realign themselves, and when this course will be very beneficial for them to understand how can they realign their practices, and how can they realign to follow the sustainable way. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. Yes. I'll quickly move on to the next question. This question is specifically about the campus immersion. Anupam Barua asks, campus offline immersion dates, is that a mandate? Is there any way to make the visit timelines based on professional plus personal availability? Okay. So,
this campus visit is going to happen from 28th of June for 3 days, and it's a mandatory element. I want to clarify one thing. So when we offer a program as TERI SAS, we're very serious about the quality. We have already factored the fact that you are working people, but are the faculty members going to dilute the content? No, not at all. And therefore, we expect everyone to be on the campus from 28th onwards and attend all the classes and participate in everything that the faculty says.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I'll move on to the next question. Does this help in, Anvi Mehta asks this query, does this help in writing sustainability reports for various companies?
Yes, I would like to answer. Yes, in our module 2, when we talk about different international frameworks, I've mentioned the GRI, which is Global Reporting Initiative. So we will be telling them, not in a very elaborate way, but we will be telling them how do you write reports, the Global Reporting Initiative, how do you write reports by using GRI and by using TNFD and TCFD frameworks, the SASB guidelines framework. So we will be doing that. So they'll get an understanding of how to write reports.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. The next question is about the capstone project. Where is the capstone project to be done, especially if one is not a part of the CSR fraternity in one's organization currently? This is pretty.
Dr. Shruti will address this question.
I think, Dr. Neeraj, capstone projects, since it's like we've taken it for the first time, I think when we would have to discuss it, yes.
Sure. But also, I mean, one of the points is that it can be done through a very high-class integrated case study methodology. So we'll come back to you, but nothing to worry because all organizations in some form or the other are involved in CSR in some form or the other. So, I mean, it shouldn't be a point of scare, but more clarity will be given as we move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. The next question is asked by Dr. Reena Anil Kumar. She asks, I am working in the environment management segment. With this course, can I qualify to do ESG reporting?
You're already working in the environment management domain. This is what. So yes, she can be qualified to do an ESG reporting because, as I mentioned earlier, that we will be introducing the concept of GRI reporting and the latest reporting, the SASB TCFD reporting guidelines to them. We will delve deeper into when we look at it from the stakeholder engagement and management process. We will dive deep into it. Materiality becomes one of the important parameters when we talk about measuring social impact. Or calculating an SROI. So we will be, working into the reporting area of ESG.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. The next question is a specific question asked by Rajesh S. He says, I work for Alstom. Every year, Alstom Foundation CSR campaign will be conducted. So basically, their key focus areas are socio-economic development, environmental protection, access to mobility, and access to energy and water. So if I join your course, will your course help me in covering all the above 4 key areas of Alstom Foundation CSR? That is a pretty.
Yes, it would be covering all the 4 foundations. So again, I would reiterate here because yes, there's a lot of doubt. So we will be covering the environmental impact, the social impact, the economic or the financial impact, and the last one, which is your the governance, the legal aspect of it. So, and from all these parameters.
Yeah, I just want to highlight again, along with Dr. Shruti, that yes, definitely we have expertise in all the 4 domains which have been spelled out by Mr. Rajesh. I think we do work on all these issues. We talk of energy, talk of mobility, talk of environmental protection. I think we'll definitely bring in all these under these 3 different pillars which has been spelled out by Dr. Shruti.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gopal. And we have, if we can also touch upon the assessment methodology for the program. We have a couple of questions on that on the chat box as well.
So when we look at assessment, it would be, we would be having, a regular assessment would be there, a continuous, assessment after every module will be there. There would be case studies which would be given to them. They would be assessed on that. And then, this is where the structure would be. A continuous assessment process would be followed after the end of every module. And then we have a capstone project at the end.
They say never trust a smiling teacher.
Right. Yes, I think we have covered most of the questions that were asked. We have one question coming just now from Amit Jain. I'm a part of the Technology Alliance team at Deloitte. There are also ESG teams here with the respective directors. Will this program help in transitioning into an ESG practice profession?
I'm sorry, your voice was not very clear, Shesi.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me repeat myself. This is a question from Amit Jain. Am I better audible now? Just to confirm. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm a part of the Technology Alliances team at Deloitte. There are also ESG teams here with their respective directors. Will this program help me transition into an ESG practice professional? That is the question asked by Amit Jain.
Yes, you would be able to, after doing the 6 months course, you can transition from the technology to a ESG professional domain. Because ESG, when we look at ESG professionals currently, ESG professionals work on different kind of tools and frameworks, all the ones which I've mentioned earlier. And they're the ones who work on the risk assessment frameworks, risk assessment models, also ESG risk assessment models. So after these frameworks, risk assessment models, and calculating ROI. So all of these things would be covered in the project, in the program.
Thank you, Dr. Shruti. I think with that, we have covered most of the questions asked in the Q&A box. If we do we want to allow them to also come up and raise their hands for a couple of other queries, or it's over to you, panelists?
Or we can pick them up and go back to them, because we had blocked 1 hour from
Yes.
the sites. So if you can compile all of them, send to me. I'll speak to Dr. Shruti and Dr. Gopal, and we'll respond back to you and many others too.
Right.
Fine. I think most of the questions that is there in the chat box we have covered. We already have I mean, a lot of seats have already been we already have got multiple registrations for the program, and there are limited seats for the program. So any of you who are keen to apply, you can quickly make your application. We will share the details with you. Sheshi, we can share the contact details so that anybody who wants to reach out to our team,
I will do that.
they
Yes.
can reach out. And you will also receive the brochure and other materials, so that you can the application link also, so that in case you wish to apply, you can quickly apply to the program. If you have any further queries, you can reach out to these numbers. These are the contact numbers. So Mr. Nafeez representing VCNow, and Ms. Veena representing TERI SAS. So both the numbers are here. You can reach out to any of the numbers, and they'll be glad to help you in terms of the information. And keep an eye on your mail. So in the mailbox, you would be receiving the relevant details. And last but not the least, thank you, for attending the session today. And thank you so much, our esteemed speakers. I think you have taken your valuable time out of your busy schedule. I know you had classes throughout the day, but you took your busy schedule time out and for this particular webinar. And I'm sure people would have had a very insightful understanding of the overall topic and the webinar. So thank you so much, and we can conclude here. Neeraj, any closing note from your side?
No, I think interesting questions.
Yeah.
As you rightly said, we have a very overwhelming response for this program. Seats are limited. So those who are planning to join this batch itself should expedite the process so that we are able to accommodate them.
Yes. So Professor Shruti, any final comments? Professor Gopal, any final comments from your side, and we close?
Thank you so much, Pulakji. I think we are really thankful to the whole VC team, VCNow team, for helping us in this particular program. I look forward to collaboratively working with you and take it forward. Not only in this program, also maybe we can plan a series of programs as you go ahead. Thanks. Thank you once again. Thanks to Professor Neeraj and Dr. Shruti for joining with me and making it powerful kind of an webinar, which has gone very effectively today.
Thank you for your cooperation. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And yeah, thank you so much, all of you. And we're actually very excited here in TERI SAS to host all of you here for 6 months senior management program. And thank you so much, VCNow, Pulak ji, and your team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Shruti.
Thank you. Have a great evening ahead, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.